Recognize that your mental health is so important. If you don't, then I promise you'll be so distorted. Stiffened by your thoughts, that's a mental rigor mortis. I'm on a hard mission and it won't be aborted. Assorted memories will seem to be your remedy, but in your darkest hour form into your enemies. Trust your gut, judge people off their energy. Cut them off quick and fast, they are limiting your room to grow.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Expect Effect podcast, where the concept of self-care is our primary focus. Consider this an acknowledgement of feeling, a judgment-free zone, the birth of every great idea within you. This is your weekly dose of me time, and I'm your host. It's just Nikia. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at It's Just Nikia. We also have personal pages dedicated to the show at the Expect Effect podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Listen, we know life is hard, but we believe self-care doesn't have to be. So sit back, relax, and unwind as we work together to truly uncover ways to help you expect better, do better, and believe better. Yo, look at you, shining, doing it, pushing, persevering, and pursuing the best version of you. Look at you tuning in, self-reflecting, working on those journal entries, and really pushing forward. Look at you telling your kids not today, learning how to use the word no, better communicating with your partner, setting boundaries at work. You are doing the damn thing. And look at you just getting started, just figuring it all out, making that first commitment that maybe we're not going to take a drink today. Or maybe I don't need to smoke that cigarette today. Maybe I don't need to say that thing today. Maybe I don't need to communicate with this person or engage in this toxic space or situation. You are working to slowly climb your hill and claim your space. And look at you, still going through some things, still struggling, still fighting, still trying to see the other side of things, still trying to make sure you're on the right path, but not really knowing what that looks like. I feel you. I feel you, and I'm here for you. I know it may not all be sunshine and daisies for everybody, and it's not going to be wins and successes every single day or every single week in some instances. Some of you were up last week, and now this past week you're down. And I feel you. But we're here, and we're going to do this together. So let's take this next 30 minutes to an hour to really rock, to really shift, and to really get in tune. Refresh, recoup, be kind to yourself. That's what we're here for. This week we're recommending Inherit Jewelry, who offers custom handmade beaded jewelry and accessories all at an affordable price. And they'll do it for the entire family. We're talking men, women, kids per request. Their customer favorites include tassel earrings and beaded bracelet sets. Excuse me, say that 3 times fast. But you'll find them on Facebook and IG, and you'll also find a customized link to their website on our blog page, alongside pictures of some of their favorite items, so you can get a feel before you even go shopping. But I promise, once you see it, you're gonna love it. You're gonna want to buy it. You're gonna want to get it for upcoming birthdays, Mother's Day. You're gonna want to get I'm telling you, I was looking at the site earlier and I was taken aback. It's truly beautiful jewelry. It's handmade, and it's coming from a phenomenal place. Carla Horton is the owner. We had an opportunity to collaborate on Instagram. She's an amazing inspiration. I love her page. I love her posts. I love her energy, and I know you're going to love her jewelry. So again, that is Inherit Jewelry, and that is custom handmade beaded jewelry and accessories for the entire family. So be sure you plug in there. All right, our weekly wind down segment. If no one else is asking, I'm asking, how are you? How is it? Where are we struggling? Where are we succeeding? Where are we learning? Where are we growing? Where are we shifting? What's going on? Feel free to DM us at the Expect Effect podcast or at It's Just Nikki on Instagram and Facebook. Let us know how it's going. Guys, this week, when we talk about putting into practice some of the things that we discussed last week, I have been working to let go of what I'm accustomed to. And I realized that even though I preach about progression, in a lot of ways, I still hold on to some not so healthy emotional reactions or responses. Believe it or not, I am in a season of working on my communication in my personal relationships, and in a season of learning how to communicate more in business spaces, in public entities and on different platforms. I'm having a lot of privilege working in this space and being able to grow on this particular platform as quickly as we have and make the engagements that I've been able to make thus far. But I always want to make sure, of course, that I'm handling those things correctly. A lot of this is new to me, okay? I'm a college dropout, y'all. And not even in a bad way. It's just I really went to work, and fortunately I've been in a lot of environments and a lot of spaces, office-wise, even manual labor, that allow me to engage with a wide variety of people, but there's still a lot I'm learning from the structure. And fortunately, I do work in corporate America now, and I do have a pretty comfortable job that is teaching me a lot of things and has opened up even more avenues and doors, but there's just a lot I'm learning. I'm in a season of growth and transition. Still consistent, still working, still grinding, but I'm having to step back and try to figure out how to celebrate my wins, not overly analyze what I'm doing, not beat myself up too hard, but also not to get too caught up in the moment, right? I'm not trying to get a big head or anything like that. I'm very pleased, I'm very blessed, but also I'm going through real shit too. You know, I have human problems just like everybody else, and I'm trying to figure out how to balance being a good person, being a productive person, and also being a person who's still committed to healing, as invested as I am and being committed to the healing of others and seeing the growth and success of other people. I want to make sure I'm still giving myself that attention, which is why we are taking this next week off. I am turning 24 on March 13th, and baby, it's Friday the 13th. Among other things, we know St. Patrick's Day is on Tuesday. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna be somewhere getting drunk, getting turned. It's going to be what it's going to be. But most importantly, I'm going to get a facial. I'm going to get a massage. I'm going to take some time off. I'm going to reanalyze. I'm going to reassess. And also, taking this time off gives me the opportunity to make sure that the website is up to par, that we have continued active game plans on social media. There's so much that can be gained from rest and recuperation. It's going to allow me to put some more focus into my relationship, into myself for a few days, into my family. So it's really going to be a dope little break for me. I'm taking that time off from my 9 to 5 as well. Everybody's getting shut down, so don't take it personally. But after today, don't forget to go when you leave, and we'll see you back the week after. I will be returning with all new episodes, and I'm very, very thrilled and very, very excited for the content that's about to be coming your way. But I encourage all of you, no matter where you are, rest and recharge. Okay, you are always going to be working for someone else's agenda, and always analyze the environment around you. If you see your corporate leaders taking off, if you see your coworkers taking off, do not think you have to be the person that is exceeding and excelling and doing everything. I'm such a yes person, but I'm having to learn not necessarily to become a no person. I'm comfortable with the word no, but learning how to properly schedule things so I'm not overwhelming myself or overworking myself or creating added stress. So there's a lot of balance I'm trying to learn right now. A lot I'm trying to gather on that front. So some days it just doesn't feel like I have my bearings all together, but we got this, and we are going to get through this. All right. So this week's topic, ready or not, here I come. The art of continued success. And I wanted to get into this because, especially as I'm reaching certain levels and doing certain things, I noticed that there's a certain point in which some people can become very, very complacent. And I want to stress that it's important you acknowledge your accomplishments, but don't hinder your potential by thinking this is as good as it gets. Right? And we've discussed applied efforts plenty, but what about those who are simply too scared to move forward? Like, it's really not as bad as it used to be, right? Like, what makes you believe, however, that you can't reach that next level? What aspects of your past are allowing you to linger in a space that says, I'm not ready to do any better than what I'm doing right now? Y'all don't know how bad it used to be. So for me to be here right now, this is good. This is good. And I don't think I'm stunting my growth, but y'all got to know this is a W. Just because you made it out of the abusive household, you're an adult now, and you're making your own money, you pay your own bills, you consider it good enough because you didn't end up as badly as you could have coming from where you came from. But you drink a lot. You're verbally reckless towards your spouse, and you have poor communication skills, but it's good enough, right? You think you're finished because you have the job, you graduated. Okay, cool. But what's your impact? You think you don't have impact. You think you're not capable of truly pursuing your passions, but why? Think of your favorite anybody, singer, athlete, professional. Do you think they stopped at the first victory? Growth is hard. Trust me, I know that. I have said that multiple. I'm going to keep saying it because it's true. Life is going to have you fighting constant battles, but how you measure up is key. Believe that you will always be victorious in your endeavors. Expect that you will always stand in a place of authority, and know that all you have is all you need to reach that next level. If you made it to where you were with less than you have today, what makes you so afraid to reach out for more? You got what you prayed for, and now you're okay. You're saying, this is good for me, this is where it can end. There's no pushing the limitations of your chosen industry. No exploring this thing to the depths of the earth, just settling. Just being there. And that sounds rather draining when I put it like that, doesn't it? And I know you might be thinking, Nakia, I don't have the money or resources to move forward the way I would like to. You don't know my situation, you can't assess my trauma, and to that I would say you're correct. You are correct. However, getting to the very spot you're in right now took time. I know it wore you out. I know you've got some bruises, probably a few open wounds, depending on the situation, and a world of hurt that you carry night to night, but you have managed to survive 100% of your bad days thus far. And I know that is cliche, but think on that. You've managed to not only survive, but conquer. You're owning life, or at least you were. The first time things started to level out, the first time you noticed everything was going to be all right, that's the last time you were hopeful. The last time you had any real spark. Now you're just getting by, sitting in your accomplishments, hindering your potential. Do you know how many times a day I encounter people who have simply given up and just flat out quit? They've become painfully complacent. And they start complaining because complacency leads to complaining. Complacency also equals confinement. So how do we stop short selling our potential and stay connected with our passions? 3 things. First, why you here? Know why you're here. Like, what do you want, Cletus? Why are you here? Staying connected to your original purpose allows you to properly assess your personal growth and emotional progression. It also ensures that you're not meeting the needs of others while ignoring your own needs. You're not wasting time in the pursuit of your passions and running around like a chicken with your head cut off. If you're unsure of the way, don't panic. Life involves building and reconstructing in various stages. We will acquire, lose, tear down, build, and do it all over again. Probably 1,000 times. There will never be a moment in your life in which you stop developing. So own that. Own the highs, own the lows. Step back, properly reassess what's required for you to move forward. Rediscover. Figure out why you started. Keep in touch to the meaning that ignites you and watch that fire never die. Second, small wins matter. It's been said no one can truly commit to something or be successful without the practices of discipline. And it's also been said that it takes 21 days to build a habit. Pattern, repetition, obedience, structure, discipline. Practicing the habit of celebrating every win, even the small ones, will allow you to slowly find yourself focusing only on what matters next. You'll stop being so concerned about what's left on the list, what you haven't made it to. You're going to be climbing and relishing in your progress, but ultimately also keeping your eye on what's next. Right? So there's going to be this moment where we're able to appreciate what's happened, but we're not going to get so caught up in it that we stop moving forward. Every celebration, you're going to start to think, damn, the next one could be even bigger than this. And you're going to start to think, there was a time I swore I couldn't accomplish this thing right here, but look at me, I'm winning. And it doesn't have to stop here. I don't have to get so uncomfortable. I don't have to think that suddenly I've gotten all I'm going to get. The only thing left to do when that thought creeps in is to just keep going. That being said, the final thing, keep going. Don't overthink it. Don't try to craft the perfect plan. Don't work to make it all make sense before it ever has an opportunity to play out. This only creates stress. It adds tension. It's like putting all your gas. It's like, I'm trying to think of a good example for this, but think about putting oil in your gas tank. I think that's really where I'm going with this. It's like putting oil in your gas tank, which doesn't make any sense at all because a car cannot run with oil in the gas tank. So if you're stressing, if you're adding pressure, if you're not properly assessing the narrative and really just telling yourself that, okay, this thing is great, but I deserve better, I deserve more, I'm going to get more, the more that I can get, the more I can give. So there's a different approach to the production of your piece. You have to feed into that thing and you have to keep pushing. Once you know why you're doing what you're doing, it's going to allow you to develop habits that will keep you on track to celebrating every single win. And then you have to keep going. You have to keep winning. You have to keep grinding. Why stop? Why are you going to allow yourself to not have the life you desire? After all you've been through, why are you standing in your own way? After all the opposition you've overcome, what are you doing? Stop it. Just be the best version of you and do it at every level. Go hard or go home. Do you hear me? If you ain't trying to progress, then don't forget to go when you leave. And I'm not even trying to be mean, but there's no room for you to consistently throw a pity party or be angry with the world for the output that you have an opportunity to change. You have an opportunity to really put yourself first and to really propel and to really progress. It's okay if you have to step back and restructure and figure things out. Know your why. Celebrate your small wins and then keep going. Don't stay stuck. The you that was crying to get to where you are right now would also be crying for you to keep pushing. It would be crying for the same opportunities you have right now to reach even bigger heights. Don't be scared. Just keep going. This week, we're stepping into full effect with an up-and-coming musical sensation, an incredible talent, a member of the No Deal community, Amor the artist. Amor recently performed at the Melanin Festival, a 3-day health and wellness and cultural celebration, and is also slated to perform at the upcoming No Deal showcase, hosted by NEP Studios in Dallas on March 21st. Excuse me, I'm really trying not to clear my throat, y'all. I want to power through this, but I know you can hear it. But we're going to be there at the No Deal event together on March 21st, hosted by NEP Studios in downtown Dallas. And an FYI, if you haven't grabbed your tickets, visit at Made It With No Deal on Instagram and Facebook. That's at Made It With No Deal. You need to RSVP before it's too late. This is one I promise you're not going to want to miss. Myself and Zay Martinez are also going to be conducting joint interviews with the artists there, and it's going to be such a good energy, an amazing vibe. 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. I know you have nothing else that you really should be doing other than coming to see us here at this event. Anyway, moving right along, Amor was gracious enough to bless us with her presence, and I think you're going to get a lot of joy from this engagement. We're stepping into full effect with Amor the artist right after this.
What's good, y'all? It's your girl Amor the artist. I am from Dallas, Texas. I am 24 years old, and I'm just here to love and show nothing but love. You can follow me on Instagram at Amor, AMOR, _ the artist. Again, that's AMOR _ the artist. And that's on all platforms as well. So Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Man, thank you so much for coming down to sit with us. A couple of things. Amor is an amazing talent. Before we go anywhere else, also, Amor, thank you that all of your social media handles are the same. I don't know who I'm talking to right now, but just know we do not care to be looking up 16 different handles. So thank you, Amor, that all of your handles are the same. Here to love And like love, it's such a beautiful topic. It's an eccentric topic. And really, love is what is at the heart of self-care. And I think a lot of people really, really miss that part of it. Sometimes you think self-care is really just pampering yourself or being nice to yourself or even being disciplined. But all of those things root in how much you care about you, how much you love you. And I constantly go back to episode 1 because it is so important. I love me like Kanye loves Kanye. If you don't look in the mirror every day, I'm telling you, every day I look in the mirror, I hear Remy Ma's Conceited coming in. Where she said, do you hear me? Like that song for me set the tone right next to Janet Jackson when she said, you know, call me Miss Jackson if you're nasty. That's when I found out I could have an alternate persona. Right there, I was like, oh, so I could be out in these streets, Janet, but be Nakia at the house. I feel you. I feel you. But like everything about Conceited hit for me because I was just like, oh, that's right. You're right. I am too pretty. Yes, Remy, you're all of these things. I'm not even going to say the lyrics because y'all need to go hear it. I want you to want to know what it sounds like. So I had to stop myself from rapping. Also, I'm not a rapper. But Amor, thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate you taking a section of your time out of your day to sit here with us. One thing I do want to talk to you about when discussing not stopping at just the first win, being willing to be persistent, being willing to be determined, and being willing to be relentless in the pursuit of your passions that says like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to that next level because I know I deserve it. Talk to me about what allows you to continue to push and not be complacent with the area, like one particular win in your life.
It's my pleasure actually to be on the show, but really it's wanting to be great. Like when you tap into something that's a passion or you like have a purpose and you know like, dang, every time I do this, like I feel alive, like my soul feels on fire. Like you have to study the greats. And one thing that they all are very consistent with is consistency, determination, relentlessness. And that's so important because there's times where you're like, hey, that show is lit. Like I did an amazing job. And it's like, you can't stop there. For you to be great, you have to do 100 more shows and then 100 more shows. And so really it's just consistency like that tops it off.
I love what you said there is like, you can't, in order to really be great, you've got to do 100 more shows and 100 more shows. And I think too, in celebrating those small wins, however, you're able to recognize what that next step looks like. I think a lot of times people get very bogged down in being so focused on being relentless, determined, and consistent that they don't sit back and appreciate their work. So to the point you made about saying that was a really great show, tell me how you do step back to appreciate your small wins.
I really I had to learn how to be in the moment. Like I'm the type of person like I'll do one thing and I'm like, okay, what's the next thing? I gotta keep working. Like I gotta figure out the next thing to do, which is okay to have a plan, but also being in the moment, realizing not everybody, you have people out there in the world that loves music to death. They can't find a studio. They can't get booked for shows, you know? And so having that opportunity to even sing multiple songs, do poems, rap different songs here and there, it's like I have an opportunity that not everybody has. And after the show, people coming up and actually enjoying my music, my family being there, being supportive, a lot of people don't have that either. So it's like those little minute things matter the most, like because it's like I said, it's just everybody doesn't get the opportunity.
Man, and I really like that you put it that way, to say that appreciation is what really ensures the affirmation, right? Because if you're lacking appreciation thereof, like you said, there are people who don't have a car, who don't have the opportunity to get to a studio. You know, I remember like having to step back, like when I first started the show and say like, Nakia, you have the capability to put something out and it may not be quite like perfectly packaged the way you want it just yet. You have an opportunity to get started. And when you start to really appreciate your small wins, you start to remember that everything is just an opportunity that could have been passed to somebody else, that somebody else could have the idea for, that somebody maybe has the better talent for, but in you becoming so complacent and so just in complacency, you start to complain and you lose that appreciation, you're now killing the affirmation. That very thing you spoke on, that very thing you wanted to claim is starting to suffocate you because you're not willing to grow alongside of it. I know, however, some people get scared. And can you talk to me a little bit about how you've overcome fear? Because growth is hard.
Man, like growth is one of the hardest things, and that's why I also like choose love, because the opposite of love isn't hate, it's fear. Because if I love basketball, I'm gonna practice every day, right? But if I'm afraid if I'm afraid to try out for the team, it's not because I hate basketball. I can love basketball, but it's the fear that's the lack of, to where people don't want to pursue, or people don't want to um apply for their dreams, like, like just go for it. But with me, I have to always remind myself that I'm afraid of nothing like scares me, because if you have that mentality, you're going to be fearless. Like if you say something scares you, then that's the one thing that's always going to attack you. But I literally have to be like, I can do anything, and anything is accomplishable, anything's achievable. Like, and that's how that is. It's just up to me to put that mentality into action, and then that action with consistency. And once the consistency is on a day-to-day basis, really, because you have to do something every day. You can't slack off and say, I'm going to do it this day, or I'm going to do it that day. Then that's when you realize, okay, I can actually do this. It goes back to school. Like if you like practice your writing, you practice every day at school until you can finally write your ABCs. And then once you can finally write your ABCs, you don't stop writing your ABCs. You just turn it into more complex words, or, sentences. So that's how fear is really accomplished.
I love the example you just did with the ABCs, because what a way to break it down. If you did not stop at doing anything else, why stop at your dream? Or why stop because you feel like, okay, now I've made it out the abusive household, or now I've made it out of the abusive relationship. But if you don't if you didn't learn to love again, you're losing. If you don't learn to rebuild after something, like, you're losing. Complacency literally is confinement. Complacency equals confinement, because you are hindering yourself. You are stopping. There is never going to be a point in your life in which you stop developing. And I really love the way you broke that down to say anything is achievable. Anything is affirmation. And that consistency is a day-to-day process. Therefore, consistency equals commitment. Your mentality is a manifestation of the world around you. And you'll find that there are so many paradigms in the way that these words can play on each other, because life and death is truly in the power of the tongue. If you speak it,
I cannot agree anymore. Like, yes.
If you believe it, it will happen. And so you have to therefore consistently believe that you're worth it every single day. And I love that you really drove home the point of consistency, because it does take work. Do you know how many days I don't want to do this show? Do you know how many times I just want to walk and go, and I'm fed up and I'm frustrated. And I'm like, y'all don't know how busy I am, and I'm sick of y'all hitting me up, and don't, and you get frustrated. And then, but in just running some of the shows back, and just engaging with certain people and interacting in certain spaces, it's like, man, we're doing something here. And then when I hear your music and I hear messages like yours, and I get to engage with people like you, I'm like, okay, we on to something. But if you never step back to appreciate the small wins, then you'll never truly, and also assessing your why. To one of the very first things you said at the top of the show, it's got to light a fire. It has to light a fire within you. It needs to ignite something within you. When you know why you're doing something, you can then progress to say, okay, I know why. And now I'm really going to keep going. I'm really going to commit, and I'm going to appreciate my small wins.
Yes.
But on the point of consistency, however, Amor, because I love every point you made, and I cannot give you enough praise for that ABC example. Truly, you guys, if you think about anything, riding a bike, just anything that you have practiced religiously, I don't know why you wouldn't do the same, and just the day-to-day structure of your life, what your future is going to look like. If that's your marriage, some of y'all have become complacent in relationships y'all should have left ages ago. But that's just your person.
Right.
You become complacent in jobs you can't stand. You go in there every day like, I hate these people. They hate you too. Go somewhere else. Stop hindering yourself. Complacency literally equals confinement. If you don't want to go to jail, don't put yourself in one.
And that's like I truly believe we're the creators of our own world. Like I'll say, religious or not, like you have to understand that everything is like has a consequence, or everything has like a reaction. So if you want to have a successful life, you're gonna do things to put yourself in the pathway of to be successful. But if you want to be I don't want to say a failure, but if you want to continue to do the things that you see no growth, then you're just going to continue to do the same things. But as you slowly change your actions, and your actions really depends on like which route you want to go. Because I know some people who love to. I'm gonna use this terminology. I hope you know what jugging is.
I don't, but I trust you to break it down. And I also have
Okay.
Google. She's a friend.
So yeah, I know people who jug, like people who like it's pretty much finesse, like people who are like I
Okay,
won't say
okay.
scam, but they finesse the game. But their hearts are so pure, their hearts are so kind. That's just the only thing that they know. But for them to actually get out of that, take that same mentality. What I would tell them is take that same mentality and use that for for good, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Like flipping that script and flipping that narrative. It kills me, I think, when people always say this is just how I am. Because I feel for you when you say that, because I feel like you just don't love you. Because you don't even
you have to love
like
yourself
the
enough.
way you are. Like you just said, this is just me. I'm sick of it though. But you don't even like the way you are, but you're not willing to do the work. So when I'm talking about doing the work, and we're talking big words, there are people right now who are looking at me like, Nakia, you done said a lot. You done told me to be consistent. You done told me to keep going. Like I'm trying to figure it out. How do you stay consistent? What keeps you going? What keeps you in touch with your why? What allows you to say, I'm going to keep going, and I'm doing so while appreciating me in the process?
Realizing who I'm doing it for and taking self out of the equation. Like I know music is my passion, it's something I love to do. But I'm really using music as a platform to speak to the people who are closed minded, speak to the people who don't really understand like there's a way out. And also for my family and God, really. Like I would say I'm a mix. Like I'm a mix between spiritual, and I'm a mix between, I don't want to say religious, because I feel like for you to be connected to God, you don't have to go to church. You don't have to do any of that. It's really about
Come on.
having that personal connection, like talking to him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I have family and friends who I've known for years, and like they're like, you're doing a great job, and that fills my heart with so much love, because I'm like, dang, they're actually appreciating it. So when I get to the caliber that I want to reach, and not saying when I reach that caliber I'm gonna say that I know I'll be able to help them and along their journey as well, whatever they want to achieve, with
I
helping
love
the
the quick
masses.
rephrase. When I get to where I'm going. Do you see how you have to catch yourself? We
Yeah.
all have to do it to bring ourselves back in. And so I don't want anybody to have this idea that we have it together. My shit is not together right now. I'm telling you. It's
Amen.
not.
Amen
It's
to
not
that.
together. But we are not having our shit together in the same space, in the same environment, and we're all committed to the same message of progression. Don't be a person who's hindering your progress. I really love what you said about I had to realize who I was doing it for. And while self-care is important, I can never go off of how I feel when it comes to doing something more often than not. When it comes down to discipline and consistency, more often than not in those first stages, and they say it takes 21 days to build a habit, you are going to have to fight you. You are going to have to get out of your own way. I can tell you right now, there are moments throughout the day, I'll get tired, I'll get exhausted. You work a 9 to 5, you're trying to put something together, and then I hear like, damn, did I really book that for that time? Who am I? What?
Right on.
What was I thinking? Like, who cleared that with me? And then you start to think, and then you tell yourself, like, how I feel in this moment just can't matter. So when you say taking self out of the equation, we're not saying don't care for self, but we're saying know what to put aside towards your progression. And then the fact that you said like music for you, you utilize it as a platform to speak to a larger majority. And I tell everybody, yo, your impact is bigger than you know. Like you said, when people start coming back around and they're like, man, I think you're doing a good job. I really love what you're doing. I like the energy. I like the vibe, etc. That's how you know for a fact that the impact is reaching. This is for who it matters to. But there is not going to be a single impact bigger than yours because it's yours. We need it. I know you don't think we need it. I know you don't think you do anything well. But to the person who can only flip burgers, let me tell you, I'm smacking.
We need
and
that.
I don't short sell anything you're doing. If you're clean, I don't care what you do, but feed into it. Feed into it and own it and know you're appreciated for it. I appreciate you. I appreciate you for cleaning. I appreciate you for teaching kids. I appreciate you for having patience I couldn't have. I appreciate you for being a parent. I appreciate you for being an outstanding partner this week. If your partner has not told you themselves, I appreciate you for trying. Because
I love that.
So important there.
I love that so much. Like
I'm telling you.
I even like using the terms like treat the CEO the same way you would treat a janitor. Like, you know, keep that same respect, that same love level, because without the CEO, without the janitor, those restrooms aren't getting clean. Even though the CEO is running the place, you know, but that goes a long way. Telling everybody that they're appreciated, that they're loved.
Man, it really does. And I think a lot of people just, sometimes you put that aside for a variety of reasons. I'm not saying anyone is a bad person, but I think sometimes you really do forget or, you know, don't consider the nature of others around you. And so when you really start to look at it, you know, going back to some of the things you said earlier, there are people who ain't got no cars. There are people, every time I would get discouraged about this show, there are people who were terrified to start a show. And then they would hit me up and say like, yo, to see you do that from your phone, like, I think I could do that too. You don't even know, like you're potentially sparking somebody else's dream. I heard one of Amor's songs and was like, I remember when I could get up my Usher on, you know, I can't no more. But it brought me back. It made me want to do some things, but that's how you know the art is good. And so just know that there is no better output than your own. And while Amor and I could stay here all day, we're hungry and we're tired and we just got off. And when I made that joke about scheduling, I was talking about now. I was talking about we gonna wrap this up. We gonna be some black folks with y'all. We gonna get it going. But before we do, Amor, give the people just two things for me. I want you to give them one, the best advice you have for self-care, wellness, and just self-preservation. And then secondly, tell them your thoughts on love, since that is a question you asked on your IG story.
Ooh, okay, I like that. Okay,
I know, I'm slick with it. Y'all see it?
Yeah, she just slid that in
Oprah energy.
Okay, so one thing I do to practice, you know, or I can give advice to, I'm a huge fan of like yoga and meditation, and that actually helps a lot because it actually helps still the mind. The mind's racing all day. So when you're doing yoga, or even if you're doing the same pose for 15 minutes straight, think about your breaths. Like that'll actually calm the mind, clear the mind, and you know, it'll actually recharge you. I feel like every time I'm done doing yoga or meditation, I feel refreshed. And then if I want to meditate on something specifically, I'll kind of do a mantra. Like, say for instance, I am strong. If I feel like I just wasn't in my best A game today, I'm like, I am strong, I'm smart, I'm healthy, I'm strong, I'm smart, I'm healthy. And I'll keep saying that because repetition builds that muscle memory that you don't have to tell yourself anymore. Now that you know, like, I'm smart, I'm strong, you're going to start acting out those things. And listen to your body. Your body tells you a lot. Like if you start eating certain things and then you feel groggy, or if you feel low, try to remember, dang, what did I eat today? What did I do today? And then just change your diet. Diet is 100%, you know, of why we feel the way we do. But that's my advice for having a healthy mind and body and spirit. And then my intake on love. Woo! So I am definitely a lover girl. I love hard, and I'm always willing to give out my love to anybody. But I personally say love until you can't love anymore. Like, I've got to the point where the current relationship I'm in right now, like, we've tried it multiple times, and each go round is just like we learn something new about each other. And it's like I want to keep finding different ways to love her, like figuring out, okay, dang, like I can do this different, or she doesn't really like that, but keep
That's
experimenting
so cute.
because
My girl just got a
love
big
is.
head. Mm. So,
My girl has a
it's
big
just
head too. It's okay.
we love
But
y'all though.
yeah, we love y'all, and just keep experimenting. Like, love is always experimental. So that's all my advice for loving.
I really, really, not to be redundant, y'all, but I really love that just because I love your perspective on simply the output to do it until you can't do it anymore. And I say that to say I believe everything we put out comes back to us tenfold. Good measure, pressed down,
Yes,
shaken
ma'am.
together, running over and will be poured into your laps. What I put out is what I'm getting back. When you're having a bad day and it seems like the world is having a bad day, it's because you attract the energy you create.
Yes,
So when you
ma'am.
talk about loving so consistently and so persistently that you want to learn new ways to love that person, that's how hard you should love yourself. Do you hear me? You should love yourself so hard that every day you wake up and you say, how can I do better by me? How can I do better by my life? And how can I do better by this thing? When you embrace love and you embrace self-care and you embrace your potential, you realize that self-care and love are one and the same thing. And when it comes to love of self, that should exceed everything for you. And when your self-love is on point, then it's just going to run over and flow into your relationships and flow into your friendships and flow into your engagements. There's no question about that. So remember, a few key takeaways from Amor's conversation before we wrap up these church announcements. Complacency equals confinement. If you like yourself at all, please don't remain complacent. I do not want to see you on whatever form of social media we got in 10 years talking about, well, y'all know I used to be. No, nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to care because you had every opportunity to be great. You had every opportunity to keep going. And I promise you, all you have is all you need. So stop complaining and get to it. Know that consistency equals commitment. Affirmation equals appreciation. And you have the opportunity to be as great as you want to be. The only person you're really in competition with is you. So this is it. This has been another week of expecting better, doing better, and believing better. Amor, where can the people find you one more time?
They can find me on all platforms at AMOR_the artist, and that's AMOR_the artist.
Shout out one last time to the same handles. You know who you are. You know who you are. You know.
Amor
Oh my
underscore the
goodness.
artist.
Listen, thank you guys so much. You can follow me on Instagram at It's Just Nikia. But please, above all else, follow the show. Okay? The show. I am the show, but also not the show. So at the Expect Effect Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, we are there. You can also find us on YouTube. This has been another round of Self-Care Sundays. Man, I am loving these additions that we're having here within the month of March. Amor, thank you so much for coming on with us. Guys, listen, life is hard, but self-care doesn't have to be.